I'm just going to pull it locally to my computer.
I'm going to also send you a link here in case some people are not familiar with Ethan through my.
Yeah, how can we get familiar with him quickly?
I just want to post this. I just dropped it down in general. Go to that Reddit link to give you a taste of the kind of crazy that Ethan is. Like,
Okay.
I have some videos on my channel that
I haven't really talked about this guy that much. Can you? So this is an AMC guy. Can you give like an explain like I'm five explanation of who this guy is?
Click to explain, but the thing I really want to show is the thing that's at the top, the actual OP image, not the one that went to my comment. Yeah, that.
Okay.
So Ethan is here's a little back history on Ethan. Ethan is one of the objectors from the AMC settlement lawsuit. He was one of the ones that were the pro se filers. He is not only insane, crazy, unhinged, but also dumb.
Okay.
He fancies himself as a legal expert when he most assuredly is not. And he is the founder of the Project Popcorn Group, which is a group of shareholders that are real ass hurt about Adam Aaron, which, that on its face is not necessarily a bad thing. Adam Aaron has done some pretty skeezy stuff with this company, or some pretty questionable stuff with this company, at the very least, with how it's been managed. However, this is a group of people who have done some things in the past. He and his group, as has been chronicled on my channel in the Prince's Amount Stupid series, had a live stream not too long ago where they threatened violence against Adam Aaron, physical violence at one of their they were planning to protest in front of the AMC headquarters, which is just a hop and a skip down from where I live, and which was also became a point of contention because now they all think that I work for AMC, which I find fucking hilarious. They were also threatening violence against Gary Gensler. Me and Lynn probably remembers that episode.
Yeah. Okay.
That's his group. Ethan has also threatened that he's going to sue me, but like most of these people, they don't know which side is up or down, let alone be able to, actually sue someone. His most recent activity was supporting Mr. Nelson Willis, who was sending threats of a anti-Semitic variety to Adam Aaron during the course of the litigation in Delaware. Adam Aaron went to file for a restraining order, but when it was told that he had to appear in Texas to, get this restraining order, he quietly decided to withdraw it. So Mr. Willis decided with Ethan's help to sue him back. And that's currently ongoing right now and is its own little thing that I'm also covering on my channel that is hilariously entertaining, but not in any good way. It's like peanut gallery munching material, but
yeah,
I wouldn't wish this on anyone, really. Dealing with a crazy, unhinged guy who believes that the Earth is flat and that space does not exist and we have not been to the moon.
Oh boy.
Highly anti-Semitic. If you go down to the comment that was actually the link that was from mine, you will see an image of him making death threats against AMC influencers and using Nazi imagery to...
There it is.
Yes, that one.
Wow.
As he says that he's going to line these people up facing a firing squad while, Nazi imagery is playing in the clip.
Wow.
This is the kind of person these are the kind of people that Ethan Leibovitz supports. And the kind of person Ethan is.
Okay. So,
he's a Jew, by the way, I would mention. He's also Jewish.
Oh, he's Jewish? Oh,
totally
okay. Oh, man.
Because it's against the right people.
Wait a minute. I don't want to do this on the stream in case it reveals anything incriminating. Not really.
Yeah, Ethan might come and try and sue you next.
Right. Anyway, let's get this. Let's see here. This phone call clip here. So,
You'll want to, like I said in the chat, you'll want to skip ahead. I think it's like about a minute or so because he says their phone out loud. And I get it's their business number probably, but I just
no, that's fine. Yeah. Oh, I don't want to
adjacently do stuff like that.
I certainly don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. So I'll skip 2 minutes in. Is that good? It's 2 minutes.
Probably because he tries to call her the first time and the call drops because I guess it's her cell phone or something like that, and she was somewhere that messed with the signal or something.
Okay. Let me see here. I know there's not any.
Get ready for full-on cringe because this guy has only one volume and it's 11.
Oh God. Okay, I'll ride the volume fader then.
Going out with the right time and everything.
And who's the who's administrating the postcard notice?
Honestly, my colleague James is the lead counsel on this, so you have.
Pause here. There's a little bit of story time for that one.
Okay.
In the AMC lawsuit, the postcard notice was administered by I think it's Strategic Claims Services.
Okay.
They basically do a lot of services like this for lawsuits where they will make sure that the notice goes out to the brokers and to the and to the people who directly own it so that they get their notice of the settlement being pendency and all that stuff and can respond to the settlement if they want to in court. Well, since this was an expedited case, things of course got a little gunky. SCS sent notice out to a lot of brokers, and in spite of everyone's hate of a certain broker, guess which one was the one that had most of the shares of AMC held beneficially for their customers?
Right. Robinhood, right?
Yes. Robinhood required 2 notices. They tried to contact them at the beginning, got no response from Robinhood, and then about 2 weeks before the settlement deadline to get your written
postcard.
Well, not to get your written brief into the court so that you could.
Right.
Hearing.
Okay.
Robinhood finally got their notice, and it probably took them a bit to get that notice out. So there was a lot of shareholders because, postage and getting the postcards and sending out the notice that didn't get their postcards till like a few days before the deadline or after the deadline. Where it's kind of moot at that point. The court's not going to extend it. So there was some kerfungling with Ethan and his merry gang of imbeciles to try and get the court to extend the deadline. The court would not extend the deadline because Delaware law, and by extension federal law, because they borrow a lot from the Delaware Court of Chancery on these sorts of things,
right,
is that if you own your shares beneficially through a broker or some other third party, instead of owning them directly, you're directly the owner, it is on you to be on notice of the settlement.
Right.
They can't.
They don't know who you are. The company doesn't know who you are.
Exactly.
Right.
The company doesn't know who you are. They just know Fidelity owns it, and they got the
correct
Fidelity.
Yeah.
So
right.
It is on you. If Fidelity doesn't give you the notice, tough fucking noogies. We noticed you.
Right.
We noticed the third party entity that owns your shares for you.
And more generally, more broadly here, I think it's worth mentioning that everybody who's bitching about this knew about all of this.
Yes,
like,
that's the other point that was brought up.
It would and the court's going to look at that. I would think, like, wait a minute here. Was anybody actually harmed by this or not? Because it seems like everybody who was concerned about it already knows about it. So.
Yeah, this was brought up when Ethan tried to mention it in court. It's like, you have been filing multiple times on this, so you're clearly on notice of the settlement. So A, why does it matter to you? And B, if you're trying to say that, oh, well, I'm doing this for the people who don't know, you don't get to do that, Mr.
That's not
litigant.
Yeah, that's not your.
That's not how that works.
No.
You can't represent anybody. Go away.
Right. And what's the claim anyway? What's the what is the actual, like, I don't know, like what is the damage? Like, is there anything that you could actually even point to? Like,
I don't think. Well, here's the thing. In this case, at the very least, Ethan and his merry band of idiots created a sort of form that you could just fill in your name and stuff. That was basically the same arguments. Now,
right.
I understand that people love their petitions on the internet, but you know what? The court is about finding legal filings,
right?
Legal truths. It's
Yeah.
about discovering who's right and wrong.
About evidence-based
So when
thinking.
you send in a brief, it doesn't matter how many times you fucking copy it and have your minions send it.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing, and the court will all treat them as one thing. That is one argument, and they will address the arguments. It doesn't matter how many fucking times you send it to the court.
Right. It's like
this isn't like a democracy, guys.
Well, they think it's like
judicial circles
pumping a meme stock. Like if everybody buys it, then the price will have to go up, right? If everybody sends in the same copy of the letter, it'll be like it magnifies its effect, right?
Or it's like an election where, if
Yeah.
40,000 people send in the same argument and they all agree, then the court has to agree with us. No, there is court precedent. There is laws that are applicable. It doesn't matter how many people think that those laws are wrong. Go to your fucking congressman and change the laws then. But that's why he's getting all niggly about the postcards. Who's doing the postcards? Who's doing the postcards?
Okay.
He's already got his conspiracy wheels turning.
Okay. All right. Okay, so that's kind of what we're hearing here at the beginning. I'm going to hit play.
Okay, then let me ask you this. Who... I see
Wait,
that you've
so who is he talking to here? That might be good to know.
He's talking to one of the lawyers. I'm going to have to give a little more
This is a
story on this whole thing.
Okay, go ahead.
So in the middle of the 8th lawsuit, 2 lawyers, and I have some videos on my YouTube channel dealing with this case, filed a lawsuit against Antara based on the SEC short swing rules, where if you're an insider, either as a corporate, as a member of the corporate board or management, C-suite people, or you own, I think it's either 5 or 10%. I'm pretty sure it's 10% or more of the company.
Yeah, you're considered a director, right? At that point, you're an insider.
You're an insider.
Yeah.
And so you have different rules where if you acquire a position, you have to wait a certain period of time before you can sell.
Mm-hmm.
Antara had 17% AMC they held because of their 27% ownership of APE. Because remember, APE was just preferred shares of AMC. They're collectively, along with common, considered equity ownership in the company. So they were subject to the short swing laws.
So the short swing rule, just because I just briefly looked it up here, it requires company insiders to return to the company any profits from the purchase and sale of company stock if both transactions occur within a 6-month period. That is the part of the Securities Exchange Act of 1934, 16B. Okay.
And if you remember correctly, Antara was playing the arbitrage like I was during the AMC APE thing. So they were constantly buying and selling APE puts on AMC. And I don't exactly agree with this law on this, but they treat the purchasing of puts as if you sold shares.
Oh.
Now, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And they consider the purchase of calls buying shares.
Right.
Profits from the sell of either of those, violation of the short swing rule.
Well, I mean,
that's what this lawsuit is about.
Okay. So what is it still ongoing?
It is currently in settlement talks right now. We'll get. Let me.
Okay. Yeah. No. Sorry. Yeah. Go for it.
No, that's fine.
All right.
So these 2 lawyers, one of the ones that he is talking to right now is Miss Taubert, I believe. I can't remember her first name off the top of my head, but she's one of these lawyers that if you go through there, because this is one of the cool things with Pacer, if you see a lawyer's name on a filing, you can put them into the Pacer search and then get their entire legal history.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And I did that with all the lawyers on this litigation and found out that they're basically ambulance chasers. They go around, read public filings from the SEC and if they see something like this where they violate the short swing rule, they come in, they buy a few shares, and then they sue these people. And sometimes it works out, sometimes they fail to serve these people and it doesn't work out and they just voluntarily dismiss. But basically that's what they do. They go, Miss Taubert and a bunch of these people, they just basically, they're lawyers, so they can pro se buy a couple shares and file a pro se lawsuit suing them on SEC short swing rules, which is going to be important in this discussion later. So Antara, I want to say in about October, appeared in the case and they came to terms for settlement. The settlement is $3.3 million.
To whom?
And
That will just go back to AMC, right?
AMC,
Right.
yes.
Yeah, because of that. That's what the remedy is for the short swing.
Because it's assumed
Yeah.
that if it goes back to the company, that puts cash on their balance sheet. So that would be a way to recover for shareholders because the value of their shares would go up because the company has been given this cash.
Mm-hmm.
Be calculated into the, so.
They're just their cash coffers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Their
this is why
cash
it's called
account.
a derivative lawsuit.
Yeah, it's on behalf of AMC. Correct, right. And we've seen these before. It's not the first one we've seen with AMC either. There was that one that had to do with Wanda and Linda Lau or whatever her name was, right?
Yes.
Before, yeah. So,
right now, because it's a derivative lawsuit on behalf of AMC, which means that AMC shareholders would be involved, and it's a settlement. AMC shareholders, as owners of AMC, since it's being done on behalf of AMC, have to say in if the settlement should be approved. So that's the point in this whole thing we're at. They have reached a settlement. The settlement has been approved between the two parties, but since the court is dealing with a settlement in the same way if it was a class action shareholder lawsuit, since it's more or less a class action lawsuit, the court has to give its thumbs up and approval for all the parties that cannot be there. It has to be generally approved by the class.
Ah, okay. So I've got a Bloomberg Law article up here about this is from June of last year.
Yes.
Yeah, it says, let's see, this suit. Wait a minute here now. It said something about phone calls. And, maybe you can speak to this. Hedge fund said in a court filing last month that it has been getting threatening phone calls from people claiming to be AMC stockholders.
Yeah.
The filing asked a Delaware judge to block the theater operator's highly engaged base of retail investors from seeing confidential court files. It cited concerns that additional closers
more to that, but yes.
could, quote, threaten the health and safety, unquote, of Antara employees. The judge ultimately gave the investors restricted access.
Correct.
Okay.
They also were threatening the plaintiffs when they went to settle. Oh boy, the no voters did not like that, and they
I bet
sending threats to them as well, which was brought up in court filings.
Oh,
times.
Wow. Okay.
One of them withdrew, though it was not explicitly said why they withdrew. One of the reasons was that it was kind of danced around, but the what was alluded to was that it was because he was just sick of getting all these threats.
Right. So this is the original lawsuit here. It looks like what I've got that I've been able to pull up on Bloomberg Law here.
Dennis Donahue and Mark Rubenstein.
Okay.
And she's one of the lawyers, Mariam
Tauber.
Tauber.
Okay. Now, question here: who are these guys? Dennis Donahue and Mark Rubenstein. They're just AMC shareholders, or
shareholders.
What?
The people that own shares.
Do we know anything about their background at all? Do we know anything about their background? Like, are they?
Yes, other than that, they are usually proxies for Miss Tauber and the other lawyer that's mentioned up there when they want to do these lawsuits. And I assume they get, when you do a lawsuit like this, whether it's a class action or a derivative lawsuit, there's a kickback as a part of that $3.3 billion that goes to the people who filed it. It's sort of like a finder's fee, a bounty, as it were, so that people want to bring these litigations. It's good for corporate governance. It's good for,
So what was the impetus, you think, for this suit? Do you think it came from Donahue and Rubenstein, or do you think it came from the attorneys and or that they were looking for these types of opportunities to go after this type of thing, and they're Donahue and Rubenstein are the useful idiots in a way. Maybe it might not be idiots, but they're basically just the medium by which they can do this, because the lawyers can't do it themselves, basically, because they're not. They could.
Pro se, and in fact,
yeah, they could.
Lopez, I think it is, the other lawyer, David Lopez, has done a couple pro se ones on some.
Okay.
But it's just much easier for them because they will also get a payout as part of because they can submit their. It's much better for lawyers this way.
Yeah.
Not only do
they have a client, they're being paid, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
And those fees would be paid by the defendant in a settlement. So you
Right,
have to pay out
right.
not only for the plaintiffs, but for the lawyers at the same time.
Right. And who doesn't like
Why
that?
You will see all 4 of these people in a bunch of lawsuits because they all know that's an easy way to a quick payday.
So they're professionals at this, basically, is what you're saying. They're not. They don't care about AMC.
Those 4 names.
They're not. They don't care about AMC. This is just what they do.
Correct.
Basically.
If you go on Pacer and look up those 4 names.
Mm-hmm.
You'll find them all connected together, doing cases like this all the time.
I gotcha.
This is
Okay.
what they do.
All right. Anything else for the background?
No, as for right now, no. That
Okay. All right. Continuing on the call. So Ethan is talking to this lawyer, Mariam Tauber, Esquire here. Okay. Great. I don't need to copy it. All right. Here we go.
You've represented these plaintiffs multiple times.
The plaintiff?
Yeah, Mr. Rubenstein and Dennis Donahue, multiple times.
Okay, yeah.
I like your matter of fact statement of just.
So I got a
now, what
question.
about it?
The kind of
Right. Yeah. What's that about? That's bizarre. Okay.
I practice, the plaintiff is a nominal plaintiff. It's really on behalf of the company, right? So the company gets most of the recovery.
I totally understand the dynamics here. The question I have for you is this. Antara got a windfall of over $800 million. You understand they rigged the vote? Do you understand the dynamics of what happened with Project Popcorn? Hello? Hello?
Yeah, this is where they get disconnected in the middle of the conversation.
Hello?
I bet.
Oh. Okay. But it comes back. It comes.
2024. She hung up on me. 302.
Now, notice how he's
Hello?
chronicling this because he thinks he's getting evidence on these operators.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
We'll get more. We'll get back
Okay.
to that at the end of this.
I'm going to be listening. I got to run downstairs to my kitchen real quick here, but I'll be listening, so I can't stop it. So I'll be back in a couple minutes.
I don't know. What's your last name, Ethan?
I got a question. Are you aware of Project Popcorn, the scheme?
I don't know anything to do with that. I know there's a lot of stuff going on with AMC, and we're not the only lawsuit. There's
I totally understand, but you're settling with Antara, a company
We're
that
only settling one claim. We're settling a 16B claim.
but hold on.
Did you read the settlement agreement that was filed?
Mariam, can I have 1 minute, less than a minute to ask a question?
Yeah, but you keep asking me all these unrelated questions I don't know anything about, so I don't have. Go ahead. Ask me anything you want.
Unrelated, you're now settling with a company that helped and aided and abetted AMC in a Project Popcorn scheme to rig a vote. You're now settling with us putative class members are fully aware of the scheme called Project Popcorn. Are you aware of the elements of the scheme?
We don't know anything about that, but if you read the settlement agreement, what I'm trying to tell you is it's very limited. We're not settling all claims against Antara.
I don't care. I don't even care.
There's
Mariam.
another claim involving a different thing that it's not covered by our agreement.
Mariam, I'm going to ask you this. Mariam, hold on. Mariam, you're now releasing them of a claim that other people...
You don't understand what I'm saying.
Yes, I totally
I'm going
understand.
to cut in again here.
Them
Okay.
of is only one claim.
Why release them anyway? Mariam, why are you releasing for a settlement of $3.2 million?
Do you know what our claim is?
Hey, Scott,
Of course I do.
Okay, so what's our claim?
Oh, you're asking me. That they traded short-term gains, and they're not allowed to. In violation.
Purchases and sales, right?
Right, now here's the question I have you. Why were they allowed to...
We're not releasing other claims. We're not letting them off the hook for anything else.
Mariam,
Right?
Mariam, את מבינה עברית?
Hey,
Miriam, את מבינה עברית? Do you speak Hebrew? Miriam, do you speak Hebrew?
I do, actually.
יפה, בוא נדבר עברית, זה נראה לי שאת לא מבינה ש...
I'm not like fluent in Hebrew. I mean, I understand it fluently. I'm American, I'm not Israeli.
Mariam, here's the problem that us putative class members are going to expose you guys.
Yeah.
We're going to ambush.
What are you talking about?
Then listen, Mariam, how about this? You got the floor for whatever you want, and then allow me to speak. Let's do it. Go ahead. You got the flashlight right now. When the flashlight's in your hand, go ahead. You got the floor.
No, I don't even have to answer your phone call. Do you understand that? You're welcome to come to the hearing.
Ma'am, you're representing the class. You're representing the class, correct?
No, we're representing the company, AMC. It's a derivative.
You're not representing the company. They're a nominal defendant.
We're not. This is not a class action, okay? So this is a different kind of case. It's a derivative case.
Correct. You're suing, your client is suing a nominal defendant, AMC, and the defendants are Antara. Now, here's the problem I have with you. You are now settling with a company that you don't even know why there's short-term windfall. I mean, when they flipped it.
That's why we have to settle, okay? AMC is probably going to declare bankruptcy, right? And if they declare bankruptcy, then everybody gets nothing. Okay?
Miriam, do you understand the scheme? I'm going to ask you one last time, because I'm now going to tell the district judge, that you and I had a colloquy, and you have no clue what Project Popcorn is.
Great, okay? Now, tell us to try anything you want.
How much money are you asking from the settlement?
I told you that my colleague, James Hunter, is in charge of this case, so I really want you to direct all questions to him. Have you spoken to him?
No, you're the first person I was going to speak to. Mr. Lopez?
No, James Hunter.
There's only two notice of appearances, one from Lopez and one from you.
No. Do you see James Hunter on there?
Hold on, parties. Represented by, you got David Lopez, Mariam Tauber, and...
And then James Hunter, you see him on there?
Nope.
Okay, well, I don't know if we're looking at the right docket then, because
Trust me, it's the right docket, sweetie.
Okay, well...
Docket entry is 23 Civ 04985.
Trust me, it's the right document, sweetie.
Okay.
Wow.
Here, could you pause it for a second?
Yep, go for it.
Okay. So when he was going into, and I think he explained it as you rolled it by, is he thinks, again, you got to put on your conspiracy caps here, your tinfoil hats.
Mm-hmm.
He thinks that Mariam and the other plaintiffs and their lawyers, instead of being your classic ambulance chasers, his conspiracy theory from the original AMC lawsuit is that it was not an actual lawsuit. What this was people that were hired by AMC to sue AMC, wait for it, and create a settlement which would release them from the claims so no actual AMC shareholders could sue AMC. Never mind the fact that lazy pieces of shit could get off their fucking ass to file the lawsuit themselves. So why would AMC need to do that? These people like constructing their little fantasy worlds after the fact to explain things. It's like how it's like with the JFK assassination. Well, we already have our conclusion that this must be this way. So how do we construct things to fit our bullshit narrative?
Yep. Oh yeah. And see, the problem is that that does happen. You know, it does happen, but it doesn't always happen. And it doesn't always happen when something that you don't want, like when the outcome that you don't want happens. Oh, well, we have to figure out how it's not my fault. How is it not my fault? Right. How am I not wrong? Like, okay.
They thought that these people were heroes when they first sued, and then they settled. They were letting Adam Aaron off the hook. So now they have to be the bad guys.
I mean, don't these clowns understand like what percentage of lawsuits are settled? Like, what the fuck, especially in finance, like, you think they're actually going to fucking go, how often do these fucking things go to trial? That's like, I don't know, but.
Look up, let me see if I can find the case here. But there is a case in, let me get it out of my archives here. A case in the Delaware Court of Chancery that goes straight to that. It's Delaware precedent. It's Rome v. Archer. It's courts favor the mutual settlement of contested claims because it's a good use of judicial economy, because there's a bunch of cases that go to the system. And if two people can come to terms that solves their problems, good. Courts prefer that. So
right. Sorry, I believe I've got it here, but right. This is more detail than I would prefer to. There's got to be a.
Yeah, that's the actual filing, but yeah,
right.
It's Rome v. Archer if you ever want to read it.
Yeah.
The basic gist of that ruling is courts prefer the amicable resolution between two parties of contested claims rather than going to trial.
Derivative action.
It goes through the entire process of how the settlement process works. Delaware Court of Chancery and in federal courts because they borrow a lot of Delaware precedent.
Okay.
So,
gotcha.
That's basically what all of that is going over in that ruling, and that's from the Delaware Supreme Court. But that's the point that he doesn't seem to get, is most of these end in settlement because it's expensive to go to trial.
Now, here's something, and I'm just reading through this here real quick. This is from the Rome versus Archer filing. The objectants, which I love that word, objectants, who produced no evidence at the settlement hearing, renewed their motion for discovery after making certain deletions from the motion for production of documents. Sounds very, very, very familiar to shit that we've heard so much, you know?
Yeah. And here's the thing is that I keep getting back to is like, they could have filed this lawsuit. They could have been the ones to file a lawsuit. As always with them, they are just too fucking lazy to get off their ass.
A day late and $1 short.
Shareholder.
Yep.
And so they settled. And so and so the other thing that's in Rome v. Archer and also in Polk v. Good is that there has to be a give and take if in a settlement. So a party has to, in order to get something, give up something. So if you want AMC to give you something, you have to give up the claims that you were suing them over. That's how that works. So that's what he's afraid of.
Right.
Like,
okay.
He's going to give up all these claims, but they've already been given up in the AMC Delaware case. If you have a settlement in a state court, that goes out to all federal courts as well. And it makes Delaware the jurisdiction for all claims under the settlement. So that's what he's afraid of, that these claims against Antara for the but Miriam's pointing out, it's like, it's not all claims against Antara. It's all claims against Antara relating to the SEC's short swing violation.
Right. It's not a blanket.
Given up.
It's just for this issue. Right? Yeah, just for this issue. He thinks that he can't sue them for anything in the future, is what you're saying? That's what he thinks?
Which, yes, but also is irrelevant because that's already covered in the AMC Delaware case. But yes.
Yeah, okay.
He thinks that it's just, she can give this broad thing. It's like, no, it can only be about the issues that were in the case.
All right.
Against the parties that were in the case.
Right.
Other parties.
Obviously, if something else were to come to light about some other issue having to do with the company and some other participants.
If it's within the bounds of the settlement. So like say
No, outside of the settlement. Outside, completely outside. Yeah, completely outside.
There's another short swing trade. Yes, you can sue them.
Yeah,
This
but
doesn't bar them forever in eternity.
right. Okay. All right. Continuing here.
I'm a ancillary co-counsel on this case, and I have an agreement with my counsel that he is the main counsel. And on this particular matter, I am deferring to my lead counsel on this, who is taking care of this matter. I really am very tangentially involved in this case. If it was any other case, I'd be happy to discuss the details with you. But this case, I'm taking a very passive role in it because my colleague James Hunter is the lead counsel.
All right, then let me ask you one last question, and then we could part our ways.
Okay.
Excuse me?
Yeah, go ahead.
I've laid the foundation that I noticed that you guys have represented Mr. Rubenstein and Mr. Donahue multiple times.
Sure.
Are you guys hired by the defendants to procure settlements and releases?
I don't know what you're talking about. Every case is different, okay?
Then I'll explain it again. Miriam, I'm going to ask you this again because you're not aware of what happened in Delaware. And I've told you...
I'm only very, moderately aware, but I knew there's a case in Delaware. I don't know what happened.
Then Miriam, I'll lay it... I told you, let me have the flashlight for a second. You had it before.
Okay,
in Delaware...
Hostile to me, and I don't understand why... I don't need to entertain your phone call just to be, yelled at and badgered.
Yelled at? Right? I'm asking color...
I've seen on the internet, there's a lot of, negative things written about me and David Lopez, about my clients, everything else. I don't think you guys fully understand what's going on. Fine. So I'm not going to respond to that.
Boy, that is the understatement of the fucking century right there. You know? Holy shit. I don't think you guys understand what is going on in this case. I mean, listen to what she says.
It clearly doesn't.
It's great.
Entertain your...
Then Miriam, I'll lay it... I told you, let me have the flashlight for a second. You had it before.
Okay.
In Delaware...
I don't understand why. You called her. I don't need to entertain your...
Right. God, what a clown. Listen to this here.
I don't know what happened.
Then Miriam, I'll lay it. I told you. Let me have the flashlight for a second. You had it before. In Delaware.
Still to me, and I don't understand why. I mean, I don't need to entertain your phone call just to be like yelled at and badgered.
Yelled at?
Right?
I'm asking color.
I've seen on the internet there's a lot of like.
You are yelling at her
about
though,
me,
Ethan.
David Lopez, about my clients, everything.
Absolutely.
I don't think you guys fully understand what's going on here. Not in this case, but like our practice and everything else. And that's fine. I'm not going to you guys be on the internet, but obviously you guys are not lawyers.
Miriam. I'll ask you a very simple question. Why did the stock AMC go down from $45?
Oh, God.
If you can't answer that question, that means you're not fully versed on the action.
You tell me why.
How about this one? I'll do one better. I've put together a statement
Jesus Christ.
that our shareholders are going to use when you file suit.
Okay.
And the statement of facts is 258 pages.
Oh, great.
Outlines, because we got discovery in Delaware. And both party attorneys out in Delaware opposed our motion. Our putative class members filed motions.
Okay.
Judge Zern in Delaware granted that motion, and we got discovery. And this is how we're privy to the scheme of the century called Project Popcorn. Now, I'll tell you, I don't want to bore you with all the elements, but listen to this very carefully. Project Popcorn in its genesis was conceived on January 27, 2021. It was memorialized on approximately November 3rd, 2021. Insiders front-ran Project Popcorn. What is Project Popcorn? Citibank and all these bad actors were naked short AMC. They needed shares. All of us shareholders did not want any more dilution.
Is that you laughing or is that her?
No, that's me.
Okay.
Like a fucking swamp witch because he's going.
Oh my God.
You don't understand. The bullet did an S curve before it hit Governor Connolly. It's like, shut up.
You can't. I mean, yeah. This is this is where it really kind of goes into pure desperation. Okay, this is cringe. I mean, wow, this is embarrassing.
That's why this is the first time to me listening the whole thing, because I started listening.
Me too. Yeah.
All shouty with her.
I didn't listen to it.
With this conversation.
I didn't listen to it before this either, for this reason, because I knew it was going to be terrible. So, all right.
We wanted to donate $1,000 to eradicate the debt. Adam Aaron could not have it. Why? Because this is the scheme of the century. Long story short, Project Popcorn pivoted from a rights offering to an ATM, which is an outright dilution. You don't have to take my word. So what happens? They then move forward in ATM. May 17th, D.F. King with AMC, Citigroup, come up with a game plan, which is do the conversion reverse split. On May 25th, Riley Financial May 27th, reaches out to John Merriweather and Sean Goodman about the scheme that was implemented on 3 stocks, AVGR, AGRX, and OPGN on NASDAQ. The problem is
he talking about B. Riley, the financial services company, or who is that? Who he means by Riley? Is that what he said? I'm not sure.
Riley Financial is the group that
that's who he's referring to.
Of distributing the equity stake stuff.
Yeah. I was just making sure that's who he was referring to. So he's talking about this one. This one here is, and in fact, it's funny. I was looking at this list of the most highly shorted stocks on MarketWatch earlier, and it's right up there at the top. 82.
They've been the target of several short reports suggesting fraud at B. Riley Financial.
Yes.
That one. I just haven't gotten into it because
right.
It's been highly volatile, because it's also been catching on recently on Wall Street Bets, and I'm just like, I'm not about that life right now.
No. Okay. I was just I just wanted to, because I thought I heard Riley in there, but I just wanted to make sure that that was what I heard. Okay. All right. Continuing.
AMC's on New York. This scheme was using preferred reverse split conversion. All those 3 stocks got smoked subsequent to them being moved forward. NASDAQ and New York Stock Exchange are two different exchanges, two different standards. So they set precedents. This is all in emails. So they knew once they moved forward with preferred shares and conversion reverse split, it was going to smoke the stock. And that was their intent, because they needed the stock to go down. Do you understand? Now, how does Antara get involved? In order to rig the vote, they needed a hedge fund. So here's what happens. They move forward with Project Popcorn. They launch Ape. Ape tanks, and they knew it was going to take down. Why? Because institutions cannot hold preferred stock. That's not in their index. So 78 million shares were sold off from day one. The board committee set the price to sell Ape at the lowest. The floor was $2. It breaks 2, they lower the floor to 1. Now, why did they need that? Because back in May, Weinberg, who works at D.F. King, explained to him how to rig the vote. In order for this to be successful, they didn't want Ape to trade. The intent was to convert Ape into AMC. And you could see it 3 months before Ape is even launched. They're talking, how is Ape and moving forward with this going to be successful? They needed the conversion. So now they have to rig the vote. They had data. If this happens, this is how we get it. So mind you, in order to get the most bang for your buck to vote, you got to get the price down. So now AMC and Ape are trading with never traded at parity. They take it down, they tank it. Adam Aaron does not support the stock. Instead, he's asking, let's set the floor even lower. It finally breaks $1. It gets to 68 cents.
It wasn't
okay.
Look, he's right about these institutions couldn't hold it because it's a preferred stock, but it wasn't an intentional tanking of the stock. They expected it to rebound or stay close to parity between Ape and AMC because they're effectively the same ownership of the company, same value, same rights to the company in a bankruptcy.
Well, yeah,
these things.
That's what they intended it to be.
And they could just dilute the shit out of Ape and keep their actual Ape shareholders that were still
the only right.
Happy.
The only reason they did it,
free lunch.
Right? The only reason they did this is because, at least to what Adam Aaron said, is because the retail shareholder base poo-pooed the idea of diluting the AMC float and raising equity that way. So, faced with a mounting debt and a fucking writers and actors strike, we didn't even know. They didn't even know that was coming. Think about that. When Adam Aaron said, "Well, you know what? The retail investors, they don't want us to dilute, so we're not going to ask them." Okay, great decision, Adam. He didn't even know. We didn't even know we were going to have a fucking strike. We didn't know there was going to be a war in fucking Ukraine. We didn't know about any of this shit. It's just fascinating. It's fascinating because what do you think they're going to fucking do? They have to raise money somehow. And the reality is, Mariam Tauber said, you guys obviously aren't lawyers. No, they're not. Nor are they corporate finance experts of any kind. They don't even fancy themselves to be amateur enthusiasts of corporate finance, if there is such a thing. I guess that would be maybe us something, but like they don't understand the fucking point here. They have no conception of what is even what the goal even is here, which, you know, is pretty fucking sad.
He fancies himself and he says so on his Twitter profile. He fancies himself a professional activist. What the whole
great
thing is for him is that he wants to be the baggy version of Ralph Nader.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, then he needs to actually like produce something material, like I know, right? Unsafe at any speed, and get some fucking laws passed and save some fucking lives. Then he could be used in the same fucking sentence as Ralph Nader, or even, you know, like what the fuck?
He hasn't said that. I want to make that clear. He hasn't said that. That's my undercut insult at him.
Okay, but still, all right. I'm not gonna go say anything, but yeah, right. He sees himself as the advocate, protector, somebody who's going to bring about change, positive change. You know, defeat the system, maybe even bring about revolution or something like that. Okay. I mean, it's the same
mention that
delusional.
clip because,
Yeah, go ahead.
because if you listen to the live stream that I have on my channel and the clips I took for it, he very much sees himself as a revolutionary. He opined and openly in that Twitter space that I got a clip of, that he believes that he really should have been born in 1750 so that he could participate in the American Revolution. He thinks that's where his, and I quote, spirit is. That is the whole narcissism that surrounds Ethan. He thinks that he's some patriotic revolutionary that is going to come and smash up the system.
Yeah, you know, he and Sojka are probably friends, right? Soyak?
No, because Sojka is a yes voter.
Oh.
But it's the same mentality. This
What? See, like,
revolutionary.
I say these guys are more similar than they realize. You know, it's like when you see.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because I've agreed. I've said that they're two sides of the same coin anyway. And there's this from pre-World War II that about fascists that that communists are red and fascists are red on the inside. It really gets down to the core of what both of their beliefs are. They may have distinct opinions on certain things, but they're both, at the end of the day, authoritarians.
Yeah, they're yes. You know, both of those guys I see. You know, I see. Well, they're just they definitely both at least portray the sense that they value structure and rules and order, you know, and power, as long as they are in those positions, or you know, have the feeling of mobility towards those positions of power, right? So like the institutions are weakening and people are gaining strength, kind of thing. Which, I mean, if you right.
At the end of the day, a lot of these meme stock people, especially the more radical ones, when it boils down to it, is that they are populist authoritarians.
Yeah, well, we know how well that ends usually.
But
all right, we have to continue on this.
Halfway point.
Oh man, all right. Well, no, we're over halfway, so all right.
That is when email.
Final. Well,
December 6th. DF King, Crystal Scordato reaches out to AMC, gives them a dynamic ledger from Excel sheet that explains to them how many shares they need in order to rig the vote. Enters Antara. Then there's an email on December 7th, a meeting. December 8th is an email. Antara is willing to hold shares to rig the vote and vote this way. They have 190 million shares to invest, quote unquote invest, which gives them 278 million shares. That is enough shares to rig the vote. They promised to hold it. Now, why did they get away with the...
now, excuse me, let me break in here and say that what Manuel says, excuse me, most of these guys hold an insignificant number of shares anyway.
Because they all bought at the top.
Whoops.
Ethan, I don't know what Ethan's share count is, but I know Jordan Affolter posted his share count, and it was 69 shares. Lol.
Oh, that's great.
But
well,
most of these people own a very insignificant amount of AMC because they all bought at the top. That's why they're so fucking pissed.
True. Yeah,
good. It was supposed to keep going.
Right. That's a good point. That whole lawsuit
that were involved in this case.
Mm-hmm.
All the plaintiffs that were involved in this case, and I bet a bunch of the objectors, not like the individuals, like the big names, like Ethan and Al from, well, maybe not Al from Boston, because he owned about I think 1,000 or somewhere in that neighborhood. But a lot of these people that were really loud voices on AMC that were all top buyers.
Yeah.
Having bought into Ape and having close to 3,000 shares of Ape, had more interest in the company than any of these fucking clubs.
Yeah, the thing that they hated, that they wanted to, basically erase from existence, if played correctly. Yeah. Which, by the way, I thought that was the point. What is all this bullshit? The point's to make fucking money. 100%. And did you make money on your arbitrage? I think you did, right?
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
All right. So clearly it's possible. And almost everybody here made money in June of 21. So like
they had been able to do that arbitrage at the beginning of the year like they wanted to when AMC was still up at like, what was it? Almost, it's still in either it's the high single digits or in the low double digits, like $12. They would have been able to sell at a much higher price and effectively had much less dilution. But because these ignorant morons continued to fight it,
that's
dilute at a much lower price.
I always felt like the whole Antara lawsuit dragged on for not Antara, I'm sorry, Allegheny. Felt like they were trying to waste time. Now, I don't know, and probably not, and some of the apes were saying this too, so I definitely questioned myself when I found myself wondering myself, but there was so much emphasis on, we got to make sure we get the letters and the database of people who support and, all this stuff. When at the end of the day, we knew what was going to happen. We knew what was going to happen. Yeah. And I'm not claiming that this was intentional or anything. Don't get me wrong. I'm not claiming that at all. I'm just saying, based on observing what happened, wow. What a bunch of bullshit. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Because part of the quid pro quo was
surprise.
Allow them to sell shares. Once it breached 3. Do you understand? How about this? Let me send you the statement of facts.
That's great, but listen, it sounds like you have a great case, okay? There's a lot of
case. I'm not settle with Antara, who are the criminals.
Listen, okay. Listen to me, all right?
Yeah.
I have sued lots of companies, all right? So I've sued, let's say, like
God bless this woman.
Remember him, right?
Dealing with this shit.
Yeah, she's doing great. I mean, she's a pro for sure. She's definitely professional. I'm gonna roll it back just a tad.
I would have hung up on this fucking idiot.
Oh yeah, and she's right.
Fuck it.
She doesn't have to put up with this. She doesn't have to put up with any of this shit. Like, who the fuck is this guy? He's some random shareholder. Like, maybe. She doesn't work for him. Okay, I rolled it back just a little bit.
More ear bleed incoming.
Yeah, maybe if it wants to play. I don't know why it's not playing now.
Once it breached 3.
Oh yeah, here we go.
Do you understand? How about this? Let me send you the statement of facts.
That's great, but listen, it sounds like you have a great case, okay? There's a lot of
case. I'm not looking for a case. I'm not looking to settle with Antara, who are the criminals.
Listen, okay. Listen to me, all right?
Yeah.
I have sued lots of companies, all right? So I've sued, let's say, you've heard of Martin Shkreli? Remember him, right? I sued his company, right? At the same time, the SEC was also suing his company. At the same time, the DOJ was pursuing criminal case charges against him, right? At the same time, other stuff was going on, right? I settled my case against him, okay? It didn't affect any of that stuff. It was a shareholder suit at the same time, a class action, right? For other stuff, for 10b5 stuff, which is regular fraud.
Well, let me ask you this: Why don't you ask?
I let you talk for a while. Now
go ahead. You got the floor. Go ahead.
My claim does not involve fraud. Okay, we're not suing them for fraud. We're suing them for a straightforward statutory violation that doesn't require there to be any malicious intent. And in fact, in many of my cases, the person who violated this rule against short swing trading didn't do any fraud. Okay, at all.
Then I'll ask you, Miriam, why were there short-term selling? Why was there short-term selling?
Just listen to me.
No, Miriam, you don't even know. Hold on, Miriam. All right, you know what? You got the floor. I'll ask you a question after. Go ahead. Sorry. You're right.
I mean, because they made money. See, this is what they don't get. Sorry, I just got to say this. Because they made money. Because they wanted to make money. Because they wanted to lose less money. I would guess is the reason, which is foreign to these people. It's completely foreign.
And she makes a great point that this is a short swing rule. This is a traffic violation.
It's clear cut.
Got caught doing 50 and a 40.
Right.
That's what this is.
Brilliant analogy. Yeah.
On these short swing rules, most of the people that get caught in these short swing rule violations committed no fraud.
Right. They're not trying to hide it.
40.
It's not like they misrepresented anything on a form. They reported it, right?
Sue them.
Right, because the information was out in the open, and oops, they did it, too soon. Oops, we fucked up. Yeah, like you said and we've said many times,
That's the thing
it's
about
black and white. For these people, it's black and white. They don't make these distinctions. It's very much black or white. They're all bad or they're all good. They're on our side. They're against us. But I mean, especially talking to a lawyer. I mean, what's the joke or whatever goes, like you ask a lawyer a random question about can I ask you a question about the law, and the lawyer says, well, I can already tell you the answer. It depends. So
Yeah. Well,
I mean, like the world is fucking messy. Yeah.
And the thing about the Antara situation is that since they got these ape shares as payment for debt previously contracted, the reason that AMC did this deal was to take debt off its balance sheet.
Yeah.
There's an exception for that in the SEC ruling, in the SEC laws, in the securities laws.
Oh.
So if you get shares in relation to a debt previously contracted, which can, that this is to protect banks, so they're not stuck with these shares of these shitty companies, that they've lent debt to or whatever the case may be. You can go ahead and sell those. They're not tied to the short swing rule. So if Antara had simply closed its ape position first and then sold the puts, they would have been totally fine.
Really?
Because they pushed their position below 10%. They weren't a insider anymore, and then they could have closed the arbitrage. But they did it the stupid way, and now here they are in court.
Yeah. Wow, that's interesting. Fascinating. Okay. So then one could say then, in some sense then, that the system worked. They fucked up. They did something the dumb way, and it, what the apes and I say most people think is that these people get away with, crime all day, every day. But here we have something like, they could have done it right, but they didn't, and they're going to have to pay as a result. That's sort of what's supposed to happen, I thought. But I don't know. It can't be, because according to the apes, the market is all, hedge funds. Oh, yeah. Hedge funds and their buddies, just basically doing whatever they want to make money, right? Fascinating stuff. All right. Ear bleed warning. Hopefully one of the last ear bleed warnings.
When I settle my case for the statutory violation, right, because it is not a fraud case, it doesn't affect any claims that have to do with any kind of fraudulent activity, which just sounds like what you're describing, right, in much more detail than I need to know, quite frankly. Okay? So, you sound like you have a great case, and you should definitely pursue it. And it will not be affected by the settlement of this claim at all. Do you understand that?
Mariam, I'll ask you this again. Why was there short-term...
Oh, my God.
Okay. Do you know what short
swing selling. Why was there short-term selling?
Trading means that you're buying and selling.
Why was there?
Right? Okay. It doesn't, for purposes of my claim, okay, I'm trying to tell you, it doesn't matter. The statute, if you look at the statute that I'm suing under, it sounds like you're familiar with the complaint and everything else. If you look at the statute that I'm suing under, which you can Google, the statute specifically says it applies without irrespective of any intent on the part of the insider, which means it doesn't matter if the insider is acting in good faith, bad faith, defrauded anybody, or didn't.
This is an interesting point.
Was completely unaware of the rule, just tried to pay off the debt, needed money for his kids.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter why they did it. If they still need to give back the profits, right? And profits are calculated under specific rules, and that's how it is. It's a statutory claim for strict liability, and it does not, settling this claim does not mean that they're off the hook for fraudulent conduct, which is a separate claim, okay?
That's a good explanation.
Separate section of the Securities Exchange Act, and it doesn't, for example, the Delaware case is going on, right? It doesn't mean that we can't pursue this claim, because the Delaware case is a class action, which it sounds like your case also is. Okay, this is not a class action. This is not a derivative claim.
Right.
That's a statutory strict liability case. It's very specific. It doesn't affect anything else. So I don't think that you should be mad at me for settling something that you think is affecting anything else that you are talking about. I don't have to know any of that. It's none of my business. I'm being If I was hired to pursue the case, then it would be. But I don't care. This is a strict liability case. I don't care what the intent was. You want to bring that case? Go.
Boom.
No one is stopping you. The settlement certainly will not stop you. Okay?
How much discovery did you conduct, if you don't mind me asking?
This is
We didn't conduct any discovery because discovery is not needed since
what? Why would you need to do that? Like, oh my God. Yeah. The title of this file that I'm playing in this player is called Ethan is extra dumb.mp3. And I think that's a great title.
My doing.
That was his doing. But let me say this. This is what's on display here. You know, actually, you know, maybe I should just play the quote here real quick. Here it is.
Nothing is too wonderful to be true that it can't be reproduced in another experiment. And this is what distinguishes science from religion.
So what we have here on display is science, which is the lawyer, Mariam Tauber, versus religion, which is Ethan. We have someone who is focusing on facts and reproducibility and statutory claims versus someone who is operating on emotions, feeling, and subjectivity. This is and it sounds like he might, now I don't want to jump to any conclusions, but assuming that he was listening to what she just said, I don't know what the hell what's he going to bitch about next? What could you possibly say if you listened to what she said, you understood the words, you were able to comprehend what was being told? What could you possibly say at this point? Why would you even need to continue? Why would you even need to continue this phone call at this point? I would have been like, oh, well, I guess I was mistaken. I am so sorry, ma'am, and I apologize for disrespecting you. Thank you for educating me. Have a wonderful day.
He wasn't listening.
I know. I figured that's the case. Oh, my God. Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, I'm going to continue. Ear bleed. Earplugs in.
filed the SEC Form 4s that admitted that they engaged in this trading. And this trading is a per se violation of the rule against short swing trading. Profits are calculated in a very specific way.
I'll ask you this again.
Okay.
Why didn't you? Then how come you didn't entertain discovery?
Because there's no need for discovery as they admit to the trading they did.
I'm going to ask
Right?
again. Why didn't you?
Bingo!
Right. So, God,
Like
Mm.
that's the entire thing right there.
yeah.
They admit they filed the filings, which proves that they violated the law.
It's
Civil
pretty
code.
clear cut. Yeah, this
There's
is
no
cut and
need for
dried.
discovery. They admit they did it.
Signed, sealed, delivered. Yeah, like what? It's pretty. Yeah, seems very straightforward. And I understand pro se. I get it, but this should be, and it's not going to be. I know it's not, but to me it is. And like if I had kids, I would use this as a valid teaching point too. I probably, because I think that smart people could learn from this. They probably don't need to learn this because they already know it. But this, to me screams like, okay, yeah, you have a group of people who think that they can walk into any situation, any industry, anything. And after 15 minutes, they can pick up all they need to know to be smarter than you at it. Like this guy thinks that he thought he could outsmart this lawyer going into this call. I guarantee it. And that's how he carries himself. But I mean, come on, that's ridiculous.
Yeah,
That's absurd. Like what the fuck? He's just a dick. This guy is a fucking dickhead.
Mm-hmm.
He is a fucking bully.
100%.
He's an asshole. He's a moron, and he's a fucking dick. Don't be a dick.
All you need to know about Ethan is this is the guy who said, and I quote, "I've been arrested 7 times, and I'm proud of each and every one of them."
I mean, what? Right, and is it for things like civil disobedience and like trespassing and stuff like that?
Probably frame it as civil disobedience, but one of the times that, according to him, it was the charges were withdrawn, but he was accused of attacking a state judge.
What? Attacking?
Yes.
Oh, Jesus.
He was in a hearing on one of his arrests, and charges afterwards were filed against him for attacking a judge.
Wow. No shit.
This is the kind of person that you're dealing with.
Yeah.
Someone who talks about the rules and talks about how things should be done and what the law is. But when it comes to him, the rules and the law do not apply.
Rules for thee, not for me, is what we call that, you know.
Yes.
Rules for thee, not for me.
This is the kind of shithead that you're dealing with.
Oh, yeah.
Who thinks that they are above the law because they are a patriotic revolutionary.
Right. And in reality, I mean, like, this is so delusional. Like, I mean, it's really, I mean, who would have thought? Maybe somebody could say that they knew that this was going to be like this, but I mean, holy shit! They're like, no, nobody could claim that they knew it was going to be like this, because, well, nobody knew how it was going to play out. I mean, aside from the fact that we knew it was going to play out in people losing their money, if you want to go down that road, we've been saying that for 3 years. But, you know, so that part is not surprising. That part is absolutely predictable. But the way it has played out, that's always the thing. All these court cases, in and out of court. Fascinating. All right. We got about...
That's the thing I said about the...
Go ahead.
That's the thing I said about the AMC lawsuit. If you read the precedent in the Delaware Court of Chancery, if you read the precedent, if you read previous cases, if you read the facts of the case as to how settlement plays out, it was really easy to tell what was going to happen here.
Yeah.
It was really fucking easy. It was written on the wall before the hearing even took place.
Right.
The fact that people were surprised by the outcome baffles me. It's so easy.
Right.
You just have to read the rules, and you just have to read how courts handle these situations. And the same thing goes for the Al for Boston, Jordan Affolter lawsuit. The same goes for all these bullshit stock lawsuits that are going on. It is so easy to tell where things are going before they even start, especially in the case of Jordan and Al's lawsuit, because they didn't present any facts.
Well,
they just chat all over a court document and called it a day.
Yeah. I mean, most of these, I feel like most of these lawsuits should not even proceeded, to be honest with you. Like, they shouldn't have made it this far. It baffles me as to how they did. And at the end of the day, you know, this is one thing that I, you know, people need to get through their brains. It's about money. Everything is about fucking money, basically. Oh, they're not going to have the ape. Where are they going to get the ape shares? They're not going to have the ape shares to deliver the dividend to the da-da-da-da. They're just going to, it doesn't matter if there are shares or not. They're just going to pay for it. So.
And I would say that you mentioned that these lawsuits should have been dismissed outright, and I don't necessarily disagree with it, but I think that
I mean, just that's a general sentiment. Like,
this fraud.
Yeah.
But they talk about like that the system is always working against them and everything. If the system is really working against you, would your lawsuit be given the time of day?
Here we go. Earplugs. Ear bleed.
Further discovery. You're trying to help the company out. Why don't you conduct other discovery?
Okay. All right. So.
Because it doesn't matter to our case.
I can't debate with you all day. We don't. I have. You're not my client. Okay.
We're trying to help the company out. No. She is pursuing, you know, a legal action against someone who broke the law. The outcome of that.
But it is breaking the law.
Yeah, it's breaking. Violating statute. Let me say it that way.
Yes.
Which is the same thing, but I mean, it sounds less criminal. Sounds less like, you know, sounds more white collar.
Again, it's like you were driving 50 in a 40.
Yeah. So
breaking the law,
now, but
it's not the same thing.
So if you are an advocate, if you're a Ralph Nader, okay, this is a good example here. If you're Ralph Nader and you're like, whoa, we need to, you know, even a crash at a slow speed is going to be devastating. We really need to, you know, seatbelts. Okay. Did anybody accuse him of trying to help out the government? Because isn't that what he's doing? Because, well, that would result in all these fines and for seatbelt violations and all this going back to the government coffers. No, that's a byproduct. That's a result. That is a resulting action. You know, that's a consequence of something. That's not the intent. And the fact that he can't separate these things, you know, I mean, it's just, it's, you know, what can I say? This is we're describing, this is pathology. We're forging. I'll say, you know, you're witnessing history, to borrow a phrase from Day to Zero. You're witnessing history as we write and establish this you know, the criteria for this new pathology called bag holders dementia. Where people who are down 80, 90, 95, 96, 99% say and do some of the stupidest fucking things you could imagine. And that's basically it. It's going in the DSM, the new DSM-6, bag holders dementia.
There are countries, there's a reason, I mean, not just economically, that people want to have.
All right, let's finish this Ethan thing.
Yes.
All right, earplugs.
And I don't even have to take this phone call. Okay? Come to the hearing and state your grievances. All right? And we'll have this debate before the
Bingo.
judge.
All right, then I'll ask that last question, and we'll come back full circle. Why did Antara sell shares short term anyway?
I tell you again, I don't care why, because my statute applies.
I'm just asking you. Don't you want to know?
Don't you want to know?
No, she doesn't
But you
care.
can tell me, sure, why?
All right, so here we go. Back in December 8th, there's an email exchange between Citigroup, Derek Van Zandt, and AMC. It says the terms. They're willing to buy X amount of shares, which was 190 million they're putting up at 60-something cents, which came out to 278 million shares. Antara wanted all control. One of the stipulations that they agreed to is, now mind you, APE was trading at 68 cents. They get a windfall now, 278 million shares. This is quid pro quo. They're now going to use all their shares to vote yes. That's part of the agreement. They're rigging the vote. As I told you, on December 6th, there's an email exchange with D.F. King explaining to AMC with a dynamic Excel sheet ledger, if you manipulate the numbers, how do we guarantee to get the vote to move forward to convert? Because that's what their intent was. It was never to allow APE to randomly continue to trade with AMC forever. So here's the point. Part of the conditions, not only to vote yes on all the three proposals, was this. Ready for it? Once APE breached $3, and that happened, I'll tell you when. Hold on. It was February 2nd, because the record date was February 8th. February 2nd, it breached 3 for the first time, which now allowed Antara to continue to sell and collect on their windfall. Why did they need this? Because this is part of the scheme. They couldn't allow the stock to keep rising. Do you understand? And now you're entertaining a corrupt entity, hedge fund, that has screwed us shareholders. Do you understand, Miriam?
No, like I told you, I'm getting money out of them, right?
$3 million. Who cares about 3? Do you...
Money out of them if you want. It doesn't really.
Miriam, Takshidi, Miriam.
They want a MOAS, I think. Oh my God. Isn't that what he's saying? Like 3 million. Who cares about 3 million? That's going to be pennies to me. That's not going to help me at all. Well, yeah, no, it's not supposed to. I mean, it's not like this is.
Again, it's a traffic ticket.
Right.
Antara was doing 50 and a 40.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess I see how he's tying this in with that, but at the end of the day, though, it doesn't matter. That what she said, it doesn't matter why they sold or bought or sold anything. It doesn't matter why somebody does it. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If for this
it doesn't matter.
For this case, for this specific application of justice, no, it doesn't. It does not matter. It will not change the outcome of either her action or any potential action in the future, because it will be on, if anything, will be on record. Yeah, they settled this lawsuit, you know, which whether they admitted to guilt or not, I guess they would. I guess, or I don't know, or wouldn't they?
That's the thing about it is that
normally they wouldn't.
They don't have to admit.
Yeah, normally they would have an acceptance, consent, and acceptance and consent. but they're not admitting fault. Typically with these types of SEC settlements, or I'm sorry, fines. But I don't know. Is this a fine?
And I think that
it's a private settlement. It's going to the company, so nothing is going to the SEC here. Is that correct?
And I think that's the key thing that she's bringing up as a lawyer is like they are on trial for doing 50 and a 40. Now, could they have murdered someone as well? Yeah, but that's not relevant to this case. You bring your own case about them possibly murdering someone.
Yeah, and that
on the 27th.
And that potential future case, is completely independent of any outcome in this case now. In other words, if that's true, what you're saying may be true, but what we're doing now will have no impact on it, and that, if it ends up being true, will have had no impact on our case. So it is materially irrelevant.
Exactly, 100%.
I mean, like I said, I see what he's trying to do. I see how he's trying to tie these two things together. But the problem is,
don't want to be tied together.
There's no evidence. There's no evidence of intent. Like, how are you ever going to prove that this was, I just don't see it. And so it really is this kind of a big ball of conspiracy theories, it seems like. I mean, I'm not sure what else I'm supposed to get out of this.
100%.
Let's listen to the last minute.
Do you understand that the market cap
Oh my God.
went from 23.7 billion down to 780 million in market cap because of Project Popcorn?
Nothing is relevant. None of this is relevant to my claim. You are free to pursue any other claims you want, and the release does not release anything you're talking about, even if they relate to these transactions. Okay?
So I just gave you notice that fraud's being committed against us shareholders, and you don't care.
I told you again, this is not a fraud.
Why would
I'm giving you now notice as a shareholder to an attorney. You're now mandated ethical obligation
What?
is to give the judge notice.
Anything.
Well, you know what, Miriam?
Cleaning up now.
Well, hold on, one last thing. Miriam, one last thing. I have you on a recorded line, and I'm going to give this to the judge. Be good.
Oh, wow. Holy shit.
That was the part I was waiting for because I skipped ahead to that. It's
Oh my
like,
God.
Oh, by the way, this whole conversation's been recorded. I'm going to give it to the judge. You're so screwed. Yeah! Like, not really.
Oh my God.
This
I mean,
is how narcissistic he is. And
wow.
He's said this before in his other things that he records people all the time, and he thinks that this is some fucking gotcha game. Like he's unveiled the conspiracy that's screwing over AMC investors, and it's fucking pathetic. It's
Wow.
childish.
Phew. It's crazy the lawyer entertained him this long. Maybe she's one of us. That's funny.
Look,
That is funny.
I don't think she's one of us because, like, I think me and Scott have both said we would have hung up on him long the fuck ago.
Well, she's more like one of us than one of them. I'll say that. I'll give him that.
True.
Yeah.
Yes, I will say that. But like the fact that she has the patience and God-given like just determination to help him understand things, like a teacher trying to teach a fucking ignorant little fucking kindergarten brat how the law works, is just I couldn't do that. I would have told Ethan to go fuck himself a long time ago because that's what he needs to be told. That he's a fucking
Sure.
brat who needs to shut the fuck up and color in the lines.
Yep. Yeah. Well, I mean, that phrase has been thrown out there a lot lately. So
That's one of us. Google gobble, one of us. We accept that one of us. Google gobble,